Welcome to Culmination, where we're not experts, but we sure have a lot to say. In the process of becoming our best self, I have with me the aspiring zoologist, Pluto Lewis, to discuss expression of the self. And with that said, let's get started. So, Pluto, how would you define self-expression?
Anything, any medium that you want to utilize to kind of get what's inside your brain into something more physical.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Do you want to elaborate on that? Like, I see what you mean, but let's flesh
hmm
it out.
Um, well, like art, for example, or music, or how you dress, for example, as well.
Yeah.
Um, Outside of like the fine arts, um, theater, writing, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So you would say all of that is expression.
Yeah, yeah.
So what kind of playing devil's advocate here, as I obviously know how it is an example of expression. Like, just if I were to look at this like an ultra simpleton, like what about the Mona Lisa or Starry Night by Vincent van Gogh? Like, what is the expression here? Like that painting's a starry night. Mona Lisa is just a woman. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to have like there doesn't always have to be some sort of like deeper meaning to it. It's like self-expression could just be as simple as because I wanted to.
hmm,
Um, so, the Mona Lisa, for as you were saying, it's like he wanted to paint a woman, I believe that
mhm,
was yeah, I believe that was Da Vinci. Um,
yes,
'cause- but he paints because it's something that he enjoys doing and he finds joy in it. So same thing with Van Gogh. Not Van Gogh is like, if you want to really get into like his history, is like
yeah, sure,
like his whole like painting was his way of releasing emotions, just because like he dealt with like a lot of mental health stuff
yeah.
during his life. So painting was his way of sort of helping cope with that,
Hmm.
um, even if it wasn't always in healthy ways.
Yeah. How do you think that works exactly from like a mental standpoint? Like what about painting or playing music? How does that really trigger your mind for that satisfaction or expression? How does that work?
Well, I mean, I can't really like speak for like other people, but
What
I
about
know like
yourself?
yeah, for myself at least, it's something to do, and it's also it gives me a goal to work towards as well.
Hmm.
Like if I, for example, it's like if I have a piece of music in front of me, right?
Yeah.
Then I have a goal of no matter like how short term it is or how long term of learning to play that piece if or just getting to know it and finding out what it sounds like. Um and it could also be like being part of like a greater whole, like if you're in like a group band, a concert band, symphony band, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's allowing yourself to work towards something while also having the freedom to um, utilize it as an outlet for emotions. Um,
Mm.
it's like when people listen to music, right?
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes you'll find like I find myself doing this a lot. Is like when I'm sad, I'll go out of my way to find sad music.
Mm. Hmm.
Um, or if I'm in a good mood, I go out of my way to find like happy, upbeat music because it kind of facilitates that emotion in a way and
Yeah. Yeah.
um gives gives me a way to like express it in a more like palpable form, I guess.
Yeah. So I guess in a sense that makes me think that a good way to define expression is like a translation, like
Yeah.
translating these thoughts, these sometimes foggy, cloudy thoughts into like a projection,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so it's like when you're playing music, it's like if it's really somber or beautiful, it like triggers, maybe it's like nostalgic feelings or a bittersweet feeling. Maybe like it's the end of something, like we're graduating
Right.
soon, so it's like almost bittersweet. Like I'm ready to get the heck out of here, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm gonna miss these people along the way.
Yeah, it's like you hear that alma mater when you're walking
Mm,
down
no,
the
I don't.
aisle, it's like,
That's
dang.
like I know it hasn't happened yet, but I know how I'm going to feel when I'm
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, this is an interesting thing that I noticed. So, I was in band since the beginning, really, starting in 5th grade up
Mhm.
to last year, as you know.
Yeah.
But I switched to choir this year just for personal reasons. I mean, I just kind of fell out of band a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, I probably told this story before in other episodes, but for newbies here, um, I've always liked to sing. I'm self-taught. I've never had formal lessons, so I liked choir. But one of the things we would always do in marching band at football games and everything was we would play our school's national anthem, basically, or not national, but it's basically the equivalent. It's the school's anthem,
Yeah.
uh, the theme song, if you will. And I've always heard the band rendition of it, like with all the brass and the percussion and the cymbals. It's like you hit it at certain parts.
Mhm.
Um, but this year when we were heading towards the end, like graduation in choir, and they have a choir at graduation itself, the ceremony. I noticed that we're singing the song, and it felt kind of symbolic to me in a sense. It's hard to explain, but it's like, I was in this district for all of my life, basically, and I heard this song throughout it, like, never thought much of it. Oh, I guess it's the anthem. And now I know the words. It's just like, keeps building on. It just feels like evolution, if you will.
Mhm. Yeah, I
It's
totally get what you mean.
symbolic. Yeah. And yeah, I get what you mean about just music in general. Have you ever listened to a song and it's like not necessarily vocals because that makes a lot more sense, but something that's more abstract, like the way that a guitarist hits a chord and it like
Mm,
resonates with you.
yeah. Um, we're actually playing a piece right now in band. Um, Concertino, I believe, by Cecile Chaminade, I believe. Uh, French composer. Could be
Mhm.
wrong. But there's this one, like, I don't know, like five measure phrase that throughout like the entire piece is like it all builds up to that, and it's just so satisfying. And like when you hit that, you can hear, and like you can definitely like the major chords and the basses that are like the bass voices that come in from like underneath, kind of like, I don't know, at least for me, they make me like feel very mm, it's a very like, this is why I'm doing band kind of feeling, because
Yeah.
you can definitely hear that like people are making the effort to, as some may say, make music.
Hmm.
Uh, um, or like when or like when I'm listening to like some of my like favorite songs on like Spotify or something,
Yeah.
I'll repeat a song or put it on loop just to hear like
That
one
one part.
chorus. Yeah, like the one like verse of it over and over, because it just like it hits different.
Hmm.
But yeah.
um, yeah, totally. It's just weird how these weird inflections make
Hmm.
us feel. Sometimes it's like indescribable, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like even you had a hard time describing exactly what it was that you felt, but inside of you, it was so real. It's
Mhm.
almost aggravating in a sense because it's like you have this feeling that's so unique, so powerful, like it fills you up,
Mhm.
and you almost have to release it, but you can't tell anybody about it. It's not like you have to keep a secret, but just nobody else knows what you're talking about because there's no way to articulate it into words.
Right, exactly.
So it's like, what do I do? I gotta share this with somebody, but I can't.
That's when
So
you
in a
just start.
sense,
Go
I
ahead.
guess that's what expression's all about, right?
Mhm. I
Like,
feel like going on that is, like, that's when you just start, like, making your friends, like, listen to the song and hoping that they, like, get
yeah,
the same feeling.
right. And I bet, based on that comment, I bet that's why some people might take it personally when it's like somebody doesn't like your favorite song, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
Which is interesting because I bet most people don't think about, like, oh, I know that I'm sad when my best friend doesn't like this song that I love, but why does that make you feel sad? And I guess that's
Mhm.
why. It's like it makes you feel indescribable.
Mhm.
Um, just like how certain people make you feel indescribable, like significant others or family members, or
Right.
even just like a really good friend.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's would you say that friendships are a symbol of expression too?
Sure, I mean, if you want it to be. I feel like anything really can, like, fall under expression. I mean, who you surround yourself with and who you and how you choose to present yourself around them or present them as, like, a whole to other people.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you want to get into that more?
yeah, sure. I mean, I know, like, I have this one group of friends, and we're all, like, in one form or another, we're all part of the, LGBTQ plus community, right? And, that, like, that's how we and as a result, because we're all a part of, like, this group, we to others, especially when, like, we're, like, interacting with other people, it's very clear that, like, with how we express ourselves, if that makes sense, or how we hold ourselves when, we're around each other or we're around other people. I don't know if that makes sense, but,
What do you mean by like clear? I'm just a little confused of exactly what you mean.
um,
Like what's clear?
I well, it's not like we try to hide or, like, I mean, it's not like we're, like, very subtle about,
Mhm,
like, where we how like, where we stand, as far as, the pride community goes, but,
mhm.
I don't know, it's hard I don't know how to articulate it,
Yeah,
but
kinda like what we were saying earlier, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe like a sense of belonging, is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah, I guess, yeah, definitely a sense of belonging, okay, so, like, you know when, like, you look at someone and you're like, "Mm, I could definitely see them being gay," you know? It's
I wasn't expecting that
it's not like
that
you're
to be
trying to
said.
it's not like you're assuming that they are, but, like, you wouldn't be surprised if they were.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I guess, like, in that and I guess that kind of plays on, like, stereotypes, depending on how
Mhm.
you take it, but,
Probably not the bad kind though, like, not like
mm,
you're looking at somebody like, "Oh," but
yeah,
just like,
no, it's
"Oh,
like, it
yeah,
doesn't
he probably would be."
yeah. It's like, if he came out and be like, okay, move on." But, I guess it's, like, in that manner, we express ourselves in a way that to anyone who knew I or anyone who kind of, like, understood, I guess, if that makes sense, would, like, recognize
Understand, like, how you feel with all
yeah,
this.
would kind of, like, recognize, um, uh, yeah, recognition of I don't know how to phrase it.
Yes, you're
Um
struggling a bit.
Okay, you know how like it was like a thing for a while, like how it's a stereotype that like bi people like cuff their pants.
Well, to tell you the truth, no.
Okay, well, it's a
I
thing.
don't know these things.
It was a thing, or it was also a thing that like lesbians would listen to this one artist, Girl in Red,
I've heard
and
of
that
the
was like
Subaru thing.
yeah, it's like an identifying fact. It's like an identifying thing. Like if you want to be subtle about it and you want to ask someone if they're um part of the LGBTQ plus
Mhm.
without like outright asking and like
But isn't
it's
that
like
stereotyping though? Isn't that of itself?
it is, yeah, a bit, but it was also at the same time though, it is also a stereotype that was established by the LGBTQ community.
Or is it kind of like if you're in it yourself, you almost poke at these quote unquote
Oh,
stereotypes
absolutely.
to like find people? Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
So
not
that's how you're
every
like searching through the dark, basically.
yeah, I mean like not every lesbian listens to Girl in Red, but Girl in Red isn't inherently a lesbian musician. Like the artist is
Oh,
um yeah,
okay,
like
that makes sense.
yeah.
So, kind of moving along here, why do you think it's important to express ourselves?
Otherwise we're all just like bunch of like dehumanized li- little blobs of meat. Like nope. Like if you don't express yourself in some way, it's like then you don't have like a personality or like an outward or you're not expressing an outward personality. Excuse me.
Mhm.
Um
That's funny you said blobs because in my head, have you seen that Fairly Odd Parents episode where they're all like gray blobs?
oh yeah.
Like Timmy wishes, I wish everybody was the same or something like that.
Mhm.
And they're all like these like rounded gray blobs with like shirts and everything. But I think it was the same shirt.
Mhm.
Or like in SpongeBob where Squidward moves to the neighborhood where everyone's a squid and lives in a Easter Island head.
Yeah.
Um so I did an episode on individuality. So do you
Mhm.
think that is kind of like expression?
Oh, yeah, like um self-expression is inherently individuality.
Yeah, yeah. I was kind
Um
of waiting for that as soon as you started talking.
um
Yeah, so you think it's important to kind of be an individual though.
mhm. I mean like otherwise it's if you don't express yourself or express like your own opinions or thoughts or express yourself with art or whatever it is that brings you joy, I guess. Whether it
Mhm.
be like making like some people find joy in making like charts and graphs and analyzing data
Mhm.
or writing code and other people don't, and that's totally cool.
Yeah.
um but I feel like having the ability to express ourselves is like what makes us human or yeah, because I mean a lot of especially like when you look at animals, right, or
Yeah.
and like the group especially like our closely related ones that have what is it, crap, I think our
Monkeys?
closest monkeys I'm trying to think of like our closest
Neanderthals?
no relative to monkey like what
Chimpanzee.
not Neanderthals. I think it's is it chimpanzees? I could have
Yeah.
sworn I for some reason I could have sworn it was like gorillas or something. I don't know.
It might
Um
be chimps. I mean, just like thinking about them,
right.
that's what I would
Uh
think.
yeah. But especially like when you look at like their group dynamics and stuff, it's like they're incredibly intelligent and they find ways, and like the way that they make themselves individuals is like they find ways to like express themselves. A lot of them as like they teach the you can like teach animals to paint or
Oh, really?
make music and stuff like that. And I mean, there are tons of videos of monkeys doing, like, building things, or,
Like
there's
playing the
like
bongos.
yeah, exactly. There's an entire island of monkeys that learned how to, that taught themselves how to ferment fruit and make
What?
alcohol. Yeah, they make
Make
they
alcohol? They know how
yeah
to make wine?
yeah,
This is I was
and they
not
just
expecting this.
it's just an island of drunk monkeys.
Take
Um,
me to this island. I don't drink, but I wanna see monkeys do that.
but the point I'm getting at is having that creativity and the environment that, like, facilitates something that having the environment that facilitates creative thinking um, allows for progress like that, whether for better or for worse. Um,
It's progress, alright.
yeah.
Something.
And I don't remember the point I was gonna make.
Oh, I was like, here it comes.
No.
Gotta be ready to respond. Would you like me to ask another question?
Yeah, go for it.
Alright. So, we've talked about, like, expression and individuality and why it's important. So, let's think of some ways of how we can do that. Like, how can we feel comfortable within our own skin, like with ourselves? As I feel like a lot of people nowadays, and really just in general, like, don't know how to express themselves, essentially. Like, some people don't know how to say their true feelings about something because they're afraid of backlash, or some
hmm
people want to wear a green shirt but think it might get bad reception, so they always wear blue. Or
hmm
yeah, like, there's different examples of it. But how do you think we can feel comfortable?
well, well, my immediate, like, thought to that was
Hmm.
learn to stop caring what other people think. Um, but
How can we?
that's where the crux is. It's like you have to
Ugh,
become more comfortable. You have to learn to become more comfortable with yourself first.
wait,
Um,
but
yeah,
I thought
right,
it's like this is the chicken or the egg, right?
right.
Well, it can't be like that. There's got to be one before the other.
I think they go hand in hand. I feel like as you learn what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with and how you want to express yourselves, you slowly you can slowly develop, like, if this makes me happy, it doesn't matter what other people think because it
Hmm.
makes me happy, right?
Right. And
You know,
also, sorry to cut you off, but
no.
what I thought of just when saying that is this idea of when you accept situations, like social situations, as the way they are, like unchanging. Like, if this person thinks this way, they're not going to have their mind changed. So, with this as the status quo that will just always exist, and there's nothing I can do about it, why not just not care anymore? Like, I have to just accept the situation, accept that I might get backlash, but if this is something I need to do or something I want to do, then that might lead to you just doing it anyway, and then feeling comfortable in the sense of self-assurance, as in, like, yes, they still care, and it's not like the status quo changed, and the status quo doesn't always need to be changed.
Sure.
It's just it just is what it is, you know? Sometimes it needs to change, sometimes it just is what it is, you know?
Yeah. Um,
What were you gonna say?
oh, I was gonna say, like, I like following up on, like, the whole do what makes you happy thing.
Mhm.
There obviously there are, save for, like, anything's fair game, save for, like, federal crimes. Um, a lot of people, there are like, um, some people find joy in the harm of others. That's not cool. Not a very
Mhm.
good form of self-expression. Not a very healthy one either. Um,
Yeah, that's a good point.
um, and that's obvious. That's like on the more extreme end of things.
Yeah.
But like not to like get too deep into it and like make it too dark. But like um, I mean like there are obviously gonna be like certain things that despite or not despite like there are some like you were saying there are some norms that are there for a reason.
Mhm.
um and some of them meant to be broken. Some rules are meant to be broken, some of them not so much. But yeah, that's really all I had to add to that.
Yeah. Um, I'm glad you did bring up that point about how some expression can be tilted towards the negative side of things, because I mean that is self-expression, but it's very demoralizing, as you could imagine, just because it's like you're not exactly accomplishing anything. You're just kind of repeating this cycle. Like if you're a bully who's insecure about yourself and you project it onto other people by like beating them up, you're not actually fixing your own problems. So
Right,
it's an outlet to remove your anger, but you're not fixing anything. So you're just in this feedback loop. And I think
right.
that's important to understand.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Um, I think the idea with expression is it technically can be anything, but it's better to be more constructive about it.
Right. Yeah.
Like making something out of it that is better, you know.
That yeah, something s- in my opinion at least, like self-expression should be something that betters you as a person.
Mhm.
Um, whether that be like improving your confidence or um improving some skill. Um,
Yeah,
so
like actual self-improvement.
right, yeah.
Any examples on that note?
Um, I keep falling back onto like art and music,
Yeah, yeah.
but
I mean, that's a
um,
big thing you do, so
yeah. I mean, like I said earlier, with art, like constantly, like when you find like that one thing that like you enjoy, like when you find something that you enjoy drawing, or you have an idea that you want to like put down on like a piece of paper or whatever medium it is that you use. Um, sometimes doesn't always turn out the way you want it to, and having the being able to like self-reflect and being able to acknowledge that in order to get the result you want, you gotta work at it. You have to put in the effort, and subsequently, like that, you improve your skills over time, and you're able to. And as you improve those skills, you gain more tools that allow you to um, express yourself more freely or more coherently.
mhm. Yeah, I was like, "Bring us home, come on." There you go. Um, yeah, that's great. 'Cause it's like you have your passion, your initial, like your flame in a sense, um, or your kickstart, your, initial spark. Uh, that's a lot of examples for saying the exact same thing, but but yeah. Uh, but as you have this interest, you can also consider, like, the discipline, factor to it. It's like, if I stick with this, if I self-reflect, being critical in the sense of I'm not I'm not just, like, overtly criticizing myself.
Right.
I'm not gonna look at my art and say, "Wow, this is crap." And I'm not gonna look at it like, "Wow, this is the best thing ever," but just be critical, like, "Okay, this is a step up from my previous work," and sometimes it can, like, blow you out of the water a little bit, like, "Dang,
Mhm.
that was a great piece."
Dang, I did that, you know?
Right, yeah. But you're just always getting better,
Right.
and you shouldn't give up, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And, I
Um,
mean yeah, we could that's expression in a sense, you don't wanna give up. You don't wanna you're always gonna wanna find ways to express yourself, whether it's
mhm.
talking to people on a podcast and or sharing your opinions on what you think is the best flavor of ice cream, or, painting something that you've never painted before on the or something grand, like on the world's largest canvas, or like in Man vs. Food, if anyone remembers that show where they ate that giant burger that was disgusting, and I probably shouldn't be talking about this because 'cause I'm full at the moment, but it was like the world's biggest cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Like something grand, I don't know why I brought that up, I just really wanted to. Um Or, like, if you wanna teach monkeys how to ferment alcohol, like, if that's your passion, like, don't limit yourself, you know? Like, the world is kind of like obviously, there's rules and systems in place. I mean, hence society and civilization, there needs to be, but there's so much of a sandbox at the same time, you know?
Yeah.
Or it's almost like the rules are the sandbox itself. It's like there's some areas that have less sand or like I don't know, that maybe the boundaries or something. I don't wanna say boundaries because that kinda sounds against the metaphor here, but
Mhm.
really you can do well, no, it works because you can do whatever you want inside the sandbox. Like, I would say outside the sandbox is what you said, like breaking a federal crime or something. Like, obviously, you can't go and kill people,
Right.
but I don't know, you can draw cute bunnies. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so what do you think on that?
I mean, I definitely agree,
Are you still stuck on the monkeys? Because I kind of am.
a little bit.
I really
Um,
love that. Thank you for that. I'm
yeah,
gonna
of
look that up
course.
when we're
It's like
done
a
here.
whole it's a whole thing. It's great. Um,
Totally gotta look that up.
I think it's, like, in, like, I wanna say it's near the Bahamas, maybe? I could be absolutely wrong and completely off the mark there, but, um, Bahamas, perhaps.
Hmm. I mean, I
Um
don't really know where monkeys are geographically. Like, I know there's a lot in India. Like,
Mhm.
I've seen videos where people just, like, go outside and there's just, like, monkeys, like, doing random things in their backyards.
Yeah, they tend to be, like, a tropical. They're like I'm more of a tropical species.
Hmm.
Um, well, save for, like, monkeys that are, like, more in, like, the savannah or, like, in Australia or Africa,
Mhm.
but, yeah,
I
they're
didn't even
found
think about
aq
those places.
they're, like, in equator-ish, like, in in the general vicinity of the equator, you know?
Yeah. Um, I was gonna ask something like, how do monkeys express themselves? But that was more of like a joke. Like, I don't actually wanna derail that far. Um,
They give each other gifts. That's, like, a thing they do. They give gifts to each other. I think
like
it's, like, a
what kind
courting
of
thing.
gifts?
Rocks, sticks, pretty things that they find and think are pretty.
Is that for, like, mating? Like, attracting a mate?
Yeah, I think it's, like, a courting thing.
Hmm.
Could be wrong, but well, I know well, actually, you know what? A form of expression, expression of love. Um, monkeys will um, pick the ticks off of each other's backs as like a form of trust.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like I'm showing my back to you, and I trust you not to like murder me. Um, so that's like a thing they do.
Yeah, that's interesting because, my brother and sister-in-law, at their house, they have budgies, which are like parakeets,
Hmm.
um, and they do this thing called preening, which is essentially the same thing,
Yeah.
except they're just, like, I guess, like, biting into the other one's fur to, like, pluck out any of the
Hmm.
dirt or something.
Actually, with that, I know it's so much kind of, um, they're like picking at like there's like okay, so there's like part of it's like helping them shed some shedding feathers mostly because like occasionally they'll get like old feathers that are falling out stuck in their like wings or something like that, and that also cleaning the oil off of them and getting, and that's where like other birds will come in and like help like get areas that the bird itself can't like turn 180 and reach. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So, that's interesting. I mean, I'm always fascinated by, like, weird things animals do. Um, but let's talk about more of that expression of love. Like,
Sure.
how do you think humans do that? As courting's a lot more complicated when we're, like,
Right.
an advanced intellectual society versus, like,
Well,
"Here's my rock, wanna date me?"
um, well,
"Here's a stick."
here's a stick. I mean, I found it just for you.
Yeah.
Um, humans have like, I mean, like a lot of people they'll like, yeah, there are like tons of like quizzes and stuff like that. It's like, what is your love language?
Yeah.
And there is some merit to it. Albeit, not like hard science or anything,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
um, it's like some people's love language is gift giving or acts of service. Um,
Slavery.
no, but a good
What?
attempt. A good attempt.
What? It's acts of service.
I don't think it was voluntary.
Alright, moving on, which other ones? I gotta be dark sometimes, I'm too colorful.
Of course. Alright. um, um, acts of service. Oh gosh, now I'm suddenly blanking. Um,
Or there's, like, appreciation, is that one?
yeah, appreciation.
Or, like, words. And then touch, is that the last one?
Oh, touches. Yes, touch. People have like a love, physical like contact. Basically.
Right, like, because
Um.
we release, a hormone called oxytocin, which is
Mhm.
the love hormone, as they call it.
Yeah.
Although
Uh,
it's interesting how that fluctuates between people as there's some people, who just can't nope, they don't like it at all.
oh
And there's
yeah.
some people who are, like, always on top of each other, like,
Mhm.
always, you know, they're, like,
Yeah.
glued together,
Yeah. Yeah. In
like,
more ways than
literally.
one. Hmm. Um. It's like I mean, like love languages don't always have to be romantic either, though. It's like, um, I know that like when I'm with my friends, it's one of my quote love languages is um physical touch.
Mhm.
So, um, I do make a habit of using a lot of my friends as pillows. Um, whether it's for like just sleeping or because I can't be bothered to keep my own head up.
Yeah.
But um, I don't. I am not often opposed to physical touch, unless it's a
Mhm.
stranger.
What would you
Unless it's
say your least, uh, prevalent love language is.
Receiving. I think receiving gifts probably.
Yeah,
I like getting gifts, but, like, they always make me feel weird. It always makes me feel weird because I always want because I love giving gifts to people, so it's weird when I'm the one receiving them, so
right.
I
You know,
always feel the
I
need to
get that.
give.
Yeah, but also it's, like, just the idea of receiving is, like, even if you really like it, it's hard to express, like, excitement. It's like you're very happy, you're
Mhm.
very grateful, but you just can't really, like, show it, so you're afraid that it'll come across as rude or something.
Oh, yeah. I'm like whenever, like, I receive, like, really nice gifts, it's like, I'm just kind
What
of
do I
like,
say?
"Thank you. Thanks, I guess." I
Yeah.
really like it. It's like, I do love it. I absolutely love it. It's just like, I don't 1, I feel awkward. 2, I don't know how to, like, properly express myself.
Yeah, yeah. And I think on that level, it's kind of okay not to know how to express yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, like, I guess in to tie it back to the theme in general, like, you don't really nobody's gonna know themselves to a T, but the idea here is knowing yourself enough that you can express yourself to the point of feeling comfortable with who you are.
Mhm.
So I guess that's, like, the main idea here.
Yeah, yeah, I would say so as well.
Yeah, um, and yeah, that I know you said that a while back, but, like, I do think it's interesting how love languages like, you think it's only about romantic love, but it is a lot like, platonic
Mhm.
friendships and dynamics. What do you think is the overall linkage between, like, friendships and romance? Like, is there really that much of a difference?
Not unless you want there to be. Um,
That's a good answer. I like
yeah.
that. Uh, elaborate,
Um,
curious to hear your thoughts.
I don't know. I mean, there's, like, people I mean, like, there are people who are just, like, best friends, right? And that's
Mhm.
it. Um, they'll get married, for the tax benefits, and then, like, raise kids together. Like, that's a thing that some
Huh.
people will do. Um, and it's purely just friendship, but, like, they wanna spend the rest of their lives together. Um, and, um or, you've got some people, like, uh, some people just do things that would be, like, inherently, like, that are soc societally, like, considered, um, acts of romance. Um, but
Like what?
holding hands, I guess. That's one
Okay.
thing. It's it's like small tangent. It's like I'll hold hands with people and like they'll think I'm dating them. It's like, no, no, I'm not. I just want to hold their hand. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not as common.
no, it's not. I mean, like it's just like one of those like it's like certain things that have like connotations of like um rom of romance, I guess. Or
Yeah, and it kinda goes back to your individual love language, as you said, like, you just like physical touch, so that
yeah,
explains the, otherwise unorthodox
yeah,
behavior.
yeah.
Or,
um,
like, it makes a lot of sense.
mhm. Um, but yeah, and like there are some people um, who are like best friends, right?
Mhm.
Um, well, you know what? No, scratch that. There's a reason, right? That like people say marry your best friend because there isn't that much of a line between doing things platonically or doing things romantically. Sure, there are like certain things, but that are more like
Yeah.
R-rated. But like, I mean,
What a way to
yeah.
say that, yeah.
um, but It's still honestly, it's just a matter of how you label it. And how someone labels it doesn't matter. Like it's up to them. It's like however you want to present that a certain relationship, as long as like both parties are clearly communicating. It's like it doesn't it doesn't and it really shouldn't matter.
Mhm.
Um
So that makes me wonder, do you think trust, that idea of trust in oneself and other people, do you think that goes along with expression?
mm, what do you mean?
Like how you said that when these people they're on the same page, they communicate well together of like, okay, this is what our dynamic is. There's like a sense of trust there. Do you think that same idea of trust kind of coincides with expression in the way that we've been talking about it?
Or I mean like earlier we were like talking about how like who you surround yourself with is like could can be like a form of expression if that's how you like desire to view it, right? So how you present like your relationship or how um
Or like if
your
you
relation
trust somebody, is that a form of expression?
for some people definitely especially like people who like have to deal with um like trust issues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Uh like and have like gone through like experiences that their survival instincts are like can't trust anyone, you know. Um
Mhm.
up being able to express trust and like being able to trust someone could definitely be a form of like self-expression because it's one of those things that like for some people you have to work at, you know.
Yeah. And also it's kinda like the monkeys, like, they trust the person to pick the fleas from their back and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, so let me see here, we have, like it's been 50 minutes now, so would you like to start, I guess, kinda closing a little
Yeah,
bit?
yeah, sure.
Alright, so we talked about a lot of things today, about expression and whatnot. Um, so what do you think, in your words, your opinion, what do you think is the big takeaway here? What do you want the audience to know?
There's no wrong way to express yourself. Um Regardless of other people's judgments, um there is no wrong way to go about it. And surrounding yourself with people who um support you and also um support you and help you improve um is also important.
Yeah.
Um and self-expression can be a great way to become more comfortable with yourself and develop tools for coping with whatever someone may be dealing with. So
Oh, yeah?
that's my hot take of the day.
Hot take.
Yeah.
Um, so we were talking a little bit, off recording about a concept that um what's the word you told me about? I didn't know about it previously, but it's the idea of art therapy. And you
Mhm.
kind of described it, but do you want to explain exactly what you mean by art therapy?
Sure. I can't say a lot of this is like based on like stuff that I will preface by saying like a lot of this is more based on like stuff that I've read,
Yeah.
certain things I've experienced. I can't like speak for like this will be someone's experience. But
Yes, we're
um
not experts.
uh, um, art therapy is like because the way I've seen it used at least is therapists and it's one of the more like non-traditional forms of therapy, especially
Yeah.
with um in regards to like CBT and stuff like that. Um
Mhm.
it's rather than like trying to like work on a behavior. It's more so learning coping. It's helping develop coping mechanisms and being and learning that like learning how to better express yourself and become more comfortable in the environment you're in, or
Mhm.
um because I know some therapists will a lot of, I mean, like when you first like start therapy, it's like a lot of people like you're not gonna immediately trust like your therapist, right?
Yeah.
They're a stranger. You don't want to like dump everything onto them. It's like and tell them your whole life story in like 40 minutes. I mean, there are some people who do, and like props to them, but I definitely couldn't.
It's just like
Um,
initial fear or distrust.
yeah, and it's like you don't know this person, and you want to get to know them first.
Yes.
But there are some people who are who just like aren't able to bring themselves to talk about whatever they may be dealing with. And in that case, a lot of therapists, or I shouldn't say a lot, but um, some therapists will use distractions as a way to express yourself. I read like this one thing or something once where someone's therapist actually like just played chess with them, and over time it's like they just began to have conversations, and slowly like the patient would open up to the therapist, and like they finally like were able to deal with the core problem.
Yeah.
um Art therapy is the same way. However, again, kind of non-traditional, because when you have all these art pieces that someone's like created, right?
Yeah.
Um, you can't really like psychoanalyze them, you know. However, because like it's expression, it's how someone chose to express themselves, and you don't. At the end of the day, therapist can't know exactly what went into it,
Mhm.
and um sorry, I'm trying to like um
All good.
it's a way art therapy is a way of one for developing tools that will help you become developing tools to help cope with things. um it's a way of becoming more comfortable in a uncomfortable environment. um
Mhm.
um and it's also a way to like keep track of how you're feeling. Cuz I know when I look at like my art pieces, like I can look back, and I can remember like exactly how I was feeling when I made certain art pieces. It's like
Oh,
I
wow.
know, yeah. I can't say that for like everyone, but like that's especially like some of my more like prominent stuff. It's like I know what was going on in my head. Um,
It's almost like documentation in a sense,
yeah,
right?
pretty much.
Or
At
like
least that's how it is for me.
yeah, like the basis of journaling if you think about it,
Mhm.
but very subtle.
Yeah. So that's a bit with what's going with like art therapy.
Yeah. It sounds very, constructive.
Mhm.
And it's something that you just do on your own, right? Like, it's
Um,
not professional practice.
no, you don't have to do it with like a profession.
Yeah.
Um, art therapy can be however you want it to be, I guess. Uh, art therapy can be making music,
Right.
uh, or writing a story. So uh, there's no right or wrong way to do it, as long as you're allowing yourself, as long as you're giving yourself a place to reflect. I guess
Mhm.
is like that one stipulation, I suppose. Um,
Right. It's like the basis of talking too, like just
Mhm.
getting all of the crap out of your spirit.
Right.
Just almost like a meditation.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good way of putting it. Yeah. I know I can't meditate. I suck at meditating.
Right. Well, I mean, it's hard to like sit there and everything.
Oh no, my brain like constantly like just go go go.
Well, I think that's actually what's supposed to happen.
Probably. I hate sitting still though. So.
Right. I mean, I don't think it's I think it's meant to be something where you're not trying to constrict your thoughts. You're just trying to let them flow and kind of see what's going on, I guess.
Mhm.
Um Actually, that's kind of interesting now that I bring that up because I think one of the misconceptions is most people think that during meditation you're supposed to be like I'm not thinking of
Right.
anything. And
Mhm.
that's just that is kind of negating the entire point of it.
Yeah.
Like the whole point is I'm opening my soul. I can see everything. Like there's so much stuff that I don't even know where to look. But I
Yeah.
can't be too limiting. I have to just let it flow, just watch the current, and maybe I can get something out of this.
Mhm.
And also just feeling the moment in general.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's a way of expression too.
Mhm.
All right, so I just wanted to insert this clip in here, as this is another example of expression. So I have with me my friend Sam Bates, who was from the Extroversion episode that I did. A couple months back, but he's been working on a film for over a year now, and it's finally finished, and he's in the process of uploading all of these videos week after week, I believe, until it's all up there, basically. So, basically, this was a big passion project for him, and I wanted to ask him about how it was a form of expression. So, Sam, would you mind just telling us about it and how it was an outlet for you and everything?
Absolutely. So when I first began it was in November of 2019. That was when I first began the plot outline and the script and stuff like that. And it was supposed to be in a similar vein of content to my previous work, which is a short film called The Greatest Gatsby, which was very stupid, very bad on purpose, not meant to be taken seriously in any light, right? Supposed to be very, because that was a lot of fun. So I was like, oh, I'll do that again. And then, so that's what I began on. And there you can still see hints of that in the final project. But as time went on, and as things in my life started to change, and things in my life started to get a bit more difficult, I decided rather than to express those in an unhealthy manner, or maybe I didn't even decide to. I just started to express all these feelings that I was feeling um, in my work and in my writing, as opposed to, I guess, telling anyone about them. Which, regardless of how you feel or not, it worked for me. And yeah, there's many scenes in there where I just wrote them when it was like I was just at a bad point, and it's just basically me venting. There's one scene in particular where it's all of the main character's insecurities kind of being mirrored to him at once. You know, it's very overwhelming. It's like he's kind of stuck with his own thoughts, I guess. And that is very, very just a self-inserted scene. Like that is basically just me putting myself out there and saying, this is what's haunting me, sort of. That sounds dramatic, but that's what I would say, at least. Um, and even in this, there's small things. The themes in there's themes of like change and resistance to change and stuff like that, and all of those are very personal to me specifically. So you could accuse a lot of my writing, and you'd be correct, of calling it self-indulgent. And so I think this is sort of the best case scenario for self-indulgent writing, because I think people still resonated with it, and I think people still understood it and related to it, while it's still being something that is extremely personal to me. And so I think that was a good way of letting out all these things that I had been feeling in a way um that just didn't get in the way, if that makes any kind of sense. So yeah, that's what I'd have to say about that.
Yeah, and it was, in a sense, is it kind of like a reflection of you?
It is. It absolutely is. Yeah, in some ways more than others. Obviously, there's some fantastical elements in there that are definitely not me, but a lot of it is. So, and a lot of any kind of art is, honestly. Every art is an expression because art is a very personal thing to anyone. You know, it's like the most personal thing you can create, and it's like no matter what you make, if it's schlock or some garbage Transformers movie, like whatever, there's a part of you in there because you made conscious decisions with how you want to express the themes that you have chosen and how you want to express the actions. Every decision that you make is a part of you because you decided for a reason why you wanted to have that the way it is. So any art is an expression of the author.
Yeah. And I guess I guess I'll close off this segment with this. How does it, and this is kind of a two-part question, but how does it feel not only to have this essentially completed and also presented to people and seeing their reactions to it with the final product?
So I'm gonna go in reverse order here.
Sure.
For questions. So when I presented it, we presented it last night, which was the 21st. I don't know when this episode's gonna go up, but it was the 21st that we presented it. I was very nervous because I thought that, first of all, based on my previous work, I thought that it would get the unintended reaction of laughter and a lot of, like not taking it very seriously in times where it was meant to be taken seriously. Just because that's what people go into it expecting based on what I've made so far.
Yeah.
And I was nervous that it would be too self-indulgent, that people wouldn't be able to follow not only the story, because it does get a tiny bit complicated, a tiny bit complicated at parts, but also just follow what I was trying to say. Because I recognize that my own writing is not up to par yet. I'm still learning, I'm still growing, I'm not very good at writing. And so even though this is my best, it's still a long ways from great. And so that was what I was very nervous about. But regardless, I think it went very well. I think people not only understood it, like what the actual plot was, thank God, but also what I was trying to say and what I was trying to convey. And I think more than anything, people enjoyed it. And that is the number one priority with anything that I think, at least I want to make, is that it's enjoyable. Mm-hmm. So I think that showing it to people was very vindicating. That's not the right word. Validating, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then what was your first question? It was what is it like?
How does it feel now that it's completed? After a whole year and a half almost.
Well, in some ways, it doesn't feel too different, just because I'm one of those people where it's not over like till it's 100% over. Mm-hmm. So I haven't. I'll admit it. I cried a little bit. at the premiere. I did, just a tiny bit, not too much. But it's not over because what I showed last night, there were still, there were mistakes in there, editing, little editing mistakes. I forgot to cut some audio sometimes. I forgot to put in audio sometimes, just because I was very rushed to get it out. And luckily, it wasn't anything breaking. Nothing about it was major. But to me, it's not finished yet until it is 100% the way I envisioned and the way it is done. So maybe I'll have some kind of emotional breakdown in a couple of weeks once it all is published online. But in my mind right now, the work is still not finished.
Okay.
So yeah.
But once it's all done, how do you feel? How do you think you'll feel?
Well,
when it's all done.
Knowing me, this is probably not the answer you're looking for, but I'll probably get started on the next project. Because I can't, I love doing this so much, and it's the process of doing this that makes me so happy. And just makes me happy to be alive, I guess. And yeah, once it's finished, I'll be like, well, what now? What now? I have all this free time. I gotta fill it up somehow. And yeah, I'll probably just be looking for the next step in whatever my creative journey is, I guess you could say.
Mhm. On to bigger, better things, right?
Hopefully.
But yeah, I wish you the best, and I guess we can end that segment here.
All right. Thank you for having me.
So yeah, I guess that's the nice cherry on top of our conversation. So I guess we can end that here.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Pluto, for joining me here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I think we had a really good conversation.
For sure.
Yeah. And this has been Expression of the Self, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.